There is another reflection of presence and purpose, which I think it is important for us to attend to, which expands on a previous comment made. Namely, when the minds of the modern day, the tendencies of the modern day encounter these things and much that has been carried with them, they find it completely alien to, let us say, invoke, realize, and call unto full dimension of living realization the comprehensive and inclusive, transcendental and eminent and present foundation of fulfilled life, perspective, communion, and witness. And yet, as I said before, if one does not address oneself in and to the full of what is to be awoken, what is to be attained, what is to be lived in the being and purpose that takes unto itself the full unalienated capacity of that uncaused cause, then understanding, integrity, consolidation by the essence of being would be impossible. And so everything that was carried with this for these cultures that we regard as some of the most profound and enlightened, but fail to allow ourselves to such freedom of relation and scope, like Greece, India, China, and many others of significant individuals and epochs. It is through cultivating direct, informing acquaintance with the ultimacy of enriched realization and inherence, of sages living conformably to the self-realization of that which is both the call, the root, the offering, and the dearest companion of fulfilling unconditioned ultimacy in its presence and nature and relation of truth, which fulfilled them, which gave the foundation of that uncaused cause to their presence and witness and soul and life. But manners of expression have changed. Manners of interaction have, in my opinion, lost organic richness and deteriorated by attending to faces rather than the substantial and inherent communion and presence of cause. For they did not seek to coerce, they did not seek to impel or force or guide or rule that which was perfect, inherent, self-resident, and only had to be called to its communing realization, resolution, and depth of fulfillment of life and assumption. Hence, these people did not attain to a degree of realization for the purpose of exercising power, or exercising sway, or exercising influence dislocatedly over others, but they allowed the truth, the presence, the communing call to be its own witness, revelation, course and conduit for realization and recognition that liberated into the innermost thrall and truth for all. But such an access, such a subtlety, such an inclusive necessity, which addresses the full scope and scale, ambit and gamut of life to come within its relation of cultivation, enrichment, self-delivery, and self-fulfillment, which is absolutely necessary for life to become integral, inherent, and lived. Broken circumstances have led people to distrust and disengage from the traditions of integral, pious people seeking their own cultivation in a complete relation to the depth of life from within, has been inverted, estranged, distrusted, and not given cultural or individual scope and scale to express itself. And in such a situation, people are made aliens, are made estranged from the universal and inhering truth that calls them unto their essence of being and home. And this is not something to be wondered at, but falls out from such a situation of relation. For it even calls into question what expression, what realization, what witness and life in that its fullest functioning is for. If it's for a pretension to rule, then every single instance of manifestation in life does not exist in such a way. A life doesn't render unto accidental and mechanical simplicity, something that consists in that which simply is at its foundation and all of revelation, witness, soul and nature of depth of imparting. But if it's to come to the comprehensive and inclusive, realizing that full foundation to its attainment in itself, then like a life enriching itself to the universality and presence of full association that engages and intoxicates it through and through. So this purposeful, continent, inclusive entirety to that which gives the revel and rapture, the fullness, the foundation of the term in living presence of unconditioned, full and inclusive capacity, the full eminence and presence and foundation of the life being roused and expressed by its foundational self in its instance of being awoken. This manner of realization, of engagement, of not having a false manner of agency, a false manner of contrivance or rule that seeks to impel by accidents what can only ripen of its own full and free absolute nature at the self-law of being. Then we come to, in this perspective and descending through these things, see through false attitudes of relation and allow that perennial, necessary, grounded, all-inclusive and consistent manner of access that existed for Parmenides, for Pythagoras, for all the ages and sages of Greece, India, China, the Renaissance, in which intellectual, moral, and the scope and scale of all dimensions of relation were never alienated from the utmost ground of attention, attainment, and self, of fulfilled expression and being that transports beyond, and inherently and inclusively always transports beyond, the accidental aspects of limited condition and capacity. And so this waking to that which is the prescience and unconditioned cause at the heart of things becomes the only route, the only way, and expresses itself absolutely in this directness of attention, relation, and margin, which all the greatest instances of humanity and the genuine and organic needs of fulfilled functioning awoke to in an aligned premonition of the effect awakening to the cause, like a dawn being clarified to the unalienated day whose cause is not separated from it. Because that is indeed one of the most quintessential and essential things of having a not alienated condition of being, ground and scale of nature. That all that we see as an effect is really just a face, a fronting of the dawns to the inclusion of the unconditioned reality and residence of that which is cause. So that which is in the instantiation of a life is not separated from that which is the life itself. The function, the effect, has no need for separation from that which exists in its own only, and hence the full harmonization, the corroboration of presence of condition of Satchitanand, of the wedding of the divine fire and the lightning unto the unabstracted universal divine mind. All of these unforced issues of fulfilled, faced, present operation, which must call unto the supernal and supreme and enter into it, become something that do not lose that living concordance, that living congruence, that living inhering ultimacy of full dimension of reality into and unto the presence of any and all. And so, not like an effect or an attribute that is removed from the cause, that has a basis of separation from it or an occasion for separation from it, but having its full inclusive purpose, soul, seat, address, and fulfillment of realization, so too the full bliss, the full consciousness, the full realization, the full recollection of seat, soul, and assumption of state becomes principally unparted to that which is unconditioned, uncaused, inclusive, resident, and true. And there is something profoundly necessary, enlivening, resident, and called forth in these communications and expressions, which for ourselves need must awaken the same incline of lived relation and margin.